Hello everyone, I'm here in my office slash craft space, and I just felt today like I really wanted to do an on-camera video. I guess partly because I just feel in a good mood today, and partly because my hair, I'm having a really good hair day, and partly because I did my makeup, so I feel kind of pretty today. That's a rare thing. And so I thought, I should do an on-camera video. And I was thinking of a couple of things I wanted to do, and I may end up doing more than one. But then I remembered that I had gotten a message, and I knew it was kind of a long time ago. I figured it was just after the new year, which it was. And it was a message from someone asking me some questions about appliques and wedding dresses and how to cut it apart and how did I price things and stuff like that. And I realized I had never responded, and I feel really bad about that because I really do not ever mean to ignore anyone. So if you have ever sent me a message and you didn't get a response from me, please let me know, because I can assure you it is never intentional for me. Never, okay? So anyway, so this lady is seriously scrapping, and her name is Irene. And Irene, I believe you live in Australia, right? Yes, you do. I was just watching a video. So what I'm going to do on this video, and it's not just for Irene, it's for anyone who is interested in sort of the process that I go through, pricing of the gowns themselves, pricing of appliques, stuff like that. And I'll actually show you some techniques too. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, and if not, bye, see you next time. And Irene, my biggest apologies, seriously. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the video that you wanted me to watch, and also go through the comments below it and try to answer all the questions as they come up. So I will be actually pausing the video a lot of times while I check your video. So it's going to look a little different to usual, where I just, ramble without editing. So this is going to be sort of edited as I'm doing it. Okay, let's get started. Oh, and I will put the link to Irene's video below, so you ladies can go check out her video and subscribe to her if you're not already. Okay, so let's get started. The first question is about pricing. Now, the gowns are going to be more expensive anywhere than they are in the US, by and large. I know that some ladies have got fantastic deals elsewhere in the world, but by and large, they're going to be cheaper here. How much do I spend on my gowns? That's actually gone up. Goodwill, I used to get a lot from Goodwill, and I have mentioned this before. Goodwill prices vary enormously depending on where you're located. Right here in Western Washington, and specifically we're like west of Seattle in our own county, and around here and down to Tacoma that way, the prices are ridiculous. We pay probably 2 to 3 times what other people pay for everything at the Goodwill. It used to be a great source. It's not anymore. It's got much harder to find used gowns at a reasonable price. For example, I saw a gown that was very clearly 1980s, totally out of style, heavily beaded, sequins, long sleeves, puffy sleeves, all that kind of stuff, and they wanted like $200. Oh, excuse me. Actually, I think it was over 200. I think it was like 214. And they use the black tag, which basically never goes on sale, right? It's ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. The gowns that I use for getting the appliques are always older. They're usually from the 80s, sometimes from the 90s, sometimes even back into the 70s, because that was the era when women were wearing heavily beaded applique sequined gowns that just had a lot on them. Those dresses probably will never ever come back into fashion. So there's 2 things that you can do with them. You can either, presuming you don't want to hang on to it, right? You can either take it apart and deconstruct it and make a more modern gown out of it, which frankly with some of these I don't know how the heck you'd ever do that. Or you can take it apart and use it for crafts or put the appliques onto other clothing, because I mean some of the lace and the appliques, as you know, it's gorgeous, right? And you could repurpose that, or of course you can repurpose it for crafts. So I have to say that I do find the pricing a lot of the time is ridiculous. I try to find gowns between $25 and $60, right in that range there. I have paid more. The most I've paid, I think, was right around $100 for a particularly spectacular gown, and I did more than make my money back on it. And then very occasionally I've got incredibly lucky and got one for, you know, right around $10, although usually that is $10 plus shipping. I cannot tell you the best place to look for them. Obviously secondhand stores, but a lot of them are so overpriced that, you know, it's not worth doing. One thing that makes it really hard to decide whether a gown's worth it is that, frankly, until you get your hands on it, or rather your scissors on the gown, you really can't know what you're going to be able to take off, what you're going to be able to cut out, what you're going to be able to repurpose. And so it's very much a judgment call, and honestly a lot of times it's a crapshoot. You see a dress and you go, I hope this will work, but until you get home and, you know, really work with it, you're not going to know. So the dress that Irene has on the video is very heavily beaded, at least on the bodice. I've only seen the bodice so far. Long sleeves, probably weighs a lot. Irene, you paid, what was it, $99? I looked it up and that's $81 American at current rates. I'm going to see. As of right now, I would not pay that for that particular dress, and I will explain why as we go along. I should say too right here that Jeanette, Scrappin' Happy XO, hi Jeanette, and Roseanne, Roxy Curry 11, hi Roseanne, both said to you, Irene, to come, like, send me a message. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate that you said that. You're two of my favorite ladies on here, you know that. And then so I felt even worse because they told you to come see me and then I didn't do anything. I'm bad. No, I'm bad. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to watch a little bit more of Irene's video and come back with some more information. I hope I have a pause button here. You know what? I don't. I have to, like, reach around the camera to find the pause button. Sorry, this is... Did you like that? Well, the problem is I can't see the pause button without moving the little screen here. Okay, hang on. Alright, so the first question is, how do you decide where to cut? Where do you make those cuts on the dresses? Sorry, my dog's going nuts there. Well, I always think the bigger that you go, the better, generally speaking. And I'm really sorry because I don't have a gown right now with long sleeves to really show you what I'm talking about as far as how to decide where to cut. But generally with a sleeve, I either cut off the entire sleeve, or if there's a lot of times with these old-fashioned gowns, there's a satin part to the sleeve and then there's a tulle part. And what you will find is that the appliques on the tulle section generally are easy to remove. You can cut them out from that tulle section. Generally when you get up to the satin part of the gown up here of the sleeve, they a lot of times you cannot cut them off or remove them without losing beads, and you often have to just cut the satin backing as well as the applique if you want to use it. So anytime that you have a piece that has tulle only on the back of it, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Hang on a minute. I have to dig around in my stash here to show you what I'm talking about. Oh, that's a hem. Well, this is okay. So this has only a tulle backing. Whoops, sorry. I have to do this backwards and I'm really not very good at it. So you can see there's no satin, right? So that is worth more. That is more valued than a piece where you have to keep the satin backing on it. There's also something that happens sometimes where you can cut a piece out, but you have to leave a satin ring around it because otherwise you lose beading. Now, I don't have an example of that real handy here, but I was working on this one here, and this one was losing beads. You can see like that hanging off there, because the stitches are not exact. And so what you have is you have an overlap of the stitching from the beading into the stitching that holds it, the applique, in place. When you have one like this, if you want to use it, you then have to take scissors and actually cut around the piece like this. And I'll give you a really quick example right here. Doodaloo. Hang on. So I'm not doing it nicely because I'm just trying to do it quickly. I'm just doing a little bit here. Hang on, let me should I sing a song while I'm doing it? No, let's not do that. Okay. So you end up with this. You see where there's the satin part underneath, which of course means that when you turn it over you can see it a little bit. I don't think it's a huge deal personally, and I do use these in my own crafting, but it's something to think about. And again, this is not worth as much as the ones that are completely removed from the fabric. Okay. Sleeves. Let's talk about which parts of the dress to work on and how to decide how to go at it. I always go for any appliques that are on the skirt first. They are usually the easiest to remove, other than the hem. And the hem can be very difficult, or the hem can be really easy. So this is, I'm going to show you on the gown that I just purchased, that I just did a preview video of. This is my Pippa gown. So here, let me hold this up. I can't tell if you can see, but on here we have a bunch of appliques on the front of the skirt. And so that would be my first place that I would try. And you know, I can't tell for sure because I have not touched this with scissors yet. It looks, if you look on the back there, it looks as though the stitches are only around the item, around the applique, not going from the applique and across the satin. And that's what you want. That's a good sign. But sometimes it can look perfect on the inside, the stitching can look perfect, and then you do it, you start working on it, and the beads start falling off. You just don't know. Hems. I always just try to remove the hem in one piece, of course, if I can. This is the hem for this gown. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it goes up and down a lot, as you can see. This is going to be a lot of work to remove, simply because there's so much of it, and the stitches, as is usual, are tiny. Now I'm going to show you something on this hem. Oh no, never mind. I think it's okay. It was a loose thread. I thought it was a thread that was connecting beading, and then that it went over the stitches that hold the applique onto the satin, but it's not, so that's good. So I will do that. I usually do the appliques first, and then the hem, because the hem tends to be kind of boring because you're just doing the same thing over and over. Then I go to the sleeves, and sorry about this, my dress is stuck. So I go to the sleeves. Now this one doesn't have sleeves. I'll show you what it has, in case you didn't see the video. It has this satin and then this little tiny bit of lace. But when I work on a sleeve, I take the easiest bits first. If part of the sleeve is really no good, then I just cut that piece off and use what I have. I generally slit up the seam on the inside of, there's usually a seam here obviously, I usually slit up that because then you can lay it flat and you can get appliques off of that piece. I sell sleeves sometimes complete and sometimes I sell them the separate appliques from it. There's no rhyme, no reason to that. It's just, you know, it's just how I judge it. So that varies. Now, bodices. Bodices are the worst. The absolute worst. And I have two bodices here. I'll show you. This is my Pippa gown that I'm going to be doing. And this one, I may be able to, I'm going to try and zoom in on this, just on this particular part of the dress. Hold on. I don't know how to do it. All right. Let's see if I can show you here. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it looks as though the appliques are separate on here and are sewn on. That's not usually the case. Usually what happens is it's like this, and they all kind of get mixed up together. Okay, I don't know if you can tell that there. What you will be able to tell when I turn it over, sorry about these weird shots here of my side of my head. See how that stitching is all willy-nilly? Yeah, you cannot tape those off, you cannot separate them. I have tried gluing the back. I know some people have been able to do this. I have not had very successful results with doing that, and frankly the amount of time and effort it takes to glue on the back, it's not worth it. Which is one reason why, even though bodices are beautiful, I generally sell them for less, way less than other parts, because they're very, very difficult to use. Another thing with bodices is that they often have boning. And they always have lining. And the appliques are usually sewn right through the lining. This had only a thin lining, but even now you can see that there's still, oh, where is it? Well, it's still thicker. The fabric, whoops, the fabric is thicker here than on the skirt part. Let me see if I can, what it's like inside this dress. So you always have to remove like the lining. See how this is separate, but then you'll often find that there's a stiff fabric and or the boning inside that you cannot remove from the applique part on the outside without ruining the appliques themselves. So bodices are really, really difficult, and generally I end up either selling them for, you know, basically nothing or throwing them away, which I hate to do, but that's really about the best option. Okay, I'm going to pause and look at some more at the video now. Okay, good. I thought I pressed the wrong button there for a second. So you guys have to go watch this video. Irene, I don't know if you still have the veil. I hope you do, and I hope you didn't cut it up. That veil, that is worth money. If it looks fine, does it have any holes in it? Does it have any staining or any damage? Because if not, that is a valuable piece that you have there. That's worth way more than the wedding dress, and I'll tell you why. Veils are ridiculously expensive. Insanely expensive. If you think about the most simple veil you can imagine, like, what do they call it? Elbow length, plain tulle, with like a comb on the top. They're like $50 to $70. The prices go up from there. A good veil is probably going to set you back a couple hundred. A decent one. When you get into ones that are like cathedral length, actually, you know what? I'm going to look this up while I'm talking about it. I know a little bit about this because we went wedding shopping for my daughter not too long ago. Hang on one sec. Wedding. I can't type and talk at the same time. Oohing. It said ooding. Wedding veils. So this, I'm looking right now at a vintage, I think it's a vintage. No, it's not actually. A gorgeous fingertip length veil that actually does have rhinestones on it. They're saying $139.95 for this, which is blows my mind because that's really, really inexpensive. If you look at veils, I'm looking now at one online that has, it's I'm trying to see how long it is. It's about the same length as the gown, and it has the applique lace around it, and it's ridiculous. I don't know what this one is. Oh no, it's cheap. It's nasty. Never mind. I know there are veils. I've seen veils recently that were really very simple. Sorry about that, looking away from you. I've seen veils recently that were really very simple and were like, you know, hundreds, $300, $400. To have a veil that has that beautiful work on it is wonderful, because they are expensive. Even now they're expensive. And we're sort of coming out of a period when all veils are tend to be very simple. Maybe they just had like a little edging of pearls or of like the piping. I'll show you one in a minute. Now we're coming more, gowns are getting more ornate again, and so you can find, you're starting to be able to find these veils with beautiful pieces, beautiful work on them. So yeah, you actually might want to, if you still have the veil, you might want to consider selling it as a wedding veil, you know, like vintage wedding veil for your wedding dress. I actually am starting to buy wedding veils for that exact reason, and what I hope to do is to sew appliques or beading onto the veils and thus make them even more beautiful and worth more. So we'll see how that comes out. I'm not a sewer at all. Okay, so I'm going to go back to YouTube. I'm going to pause the video again for a minute. Okay, so Irene, I looked at the rest of the video as far as the veil. Again, if you haven't sold it yet, if you still have it, what I would do with that, if I was going to sell it as is, or try and sell it to a bride, is that I would rework it's very heavy through here. It's got lots and lots of layers here, and that's just not something that's really current. So I'd like try to get rid of some of that layer. It's that long layer with all the applique on it that's your money right there. And I would, golly, I don't know, if I was seriously, if I was going to try and sell it as a vintage veil, I would probably ask, I don't know, not less than 50 for sure, not less than 50, probably more than that, US dollars, and I know yours that'll be a little bit less in Australian dollars. Oh, this is what I was meaning about the piping, by the way, on the veils. That's one kind. It's actually like a satin edge. The other thing that's, if you are buying dresses, because sometimes, you know, they come as a package, right, the dress and the veil. The headpieces, this is a headpiece on this one. Now, this is a bit old-fashioned, but it is really, really pretty. Little tiaras and things, I would say they start, you may find one for like $30, like new I'm talking about, and they go up from there. They are, again, really stupidly expensive. 70, 80 is common for those. Alright, what else? Let's see. Oh, I'm going to show you a little bit about actually physically how to do the cutting. Hold on a minute. I've got something here I want to show you with. Sorry about this. This was very, sorry about that too. This was very last minute. I was like, oh, let's do this video. So I don't have everything ready to go. Alright, so I used to use my seam ripper a lot. And what I would do, actually what I'm going to try and do is, I'm going to move the camera and pop it down to my lap, where I'm going to be working. So hold on a second. Oh, don't you hate people who don't know what they're doing? Like me? Okay, alright, let's see how that is. No, wait, turn it, turn it, turn it. Oh, look, nice shot. Key necklace there that my daughters gave me for Christmas last year, I think. You know, like not 13, but 12. Okay, down, down. Oh great, my little screen just flipped. Oh, that is no use at all. Okay, let's see if I can do it like this. So I used to use my seam ripper a lot of the time, and I would literally go like this like right around the edge. And then you cannot be gentle with these, by the way. Well, not when you're doing the seam ripper. And I put it in between the applique and the satin and just sort of pop it off like that. Oops, sorry. Pop it off, okay? I do that. And just keep going around. It's tough. It's really hard. But that's basically what you need to do. And your seam rippers and your scissors get dull so fast doing this. It's an expense for seam rippers and or scissors. Okay, so you can see how that one's starting to come off there. You can look on the back, right, and it looks as though, oh, that should be fairly simple, right? I'll just cut those stitches. Well, there are a few that are easy, like right there, right? It's already loose. There's some places where the stitches are quite large, so pop it off, right? But then you'll find there's places where the stitches are incredibly tiny. And the other thing is that even when you think you've undone a section, I'll do that real quick here and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Appliques on wedding dresses are double stitched, and you can almost never see the double stitching. I don't think I've ever seen the double stitching from the back side. So this section here should come apart right now. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. Why? Because it's also stitched from the inside with an invisible thread. It's not really invisible, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And usually that, like I said, you can't see it. You can just feel it. You start to feel it. And a lot of times as you're pulling the applique off, you'll find these like funky threads coming out. And it's that invisible thread that it's kind of like really, it's kind of like really tiny fine fishing wire, okay? So as you can see, not easy. I have recently taken to just using scissors. Because, and I'll try to show you this, what I do is I just cut. These are actually blunt. I need to get a new pair of scissors. It's actually cheaper for me to buy new scissors than to get them sharpened. So just cut the little tiny stitches between the applique and the satin. And once you get going, it actually isn't too bad, and then you just sort of pull. And one thing to know when you're doing this, don't be shy about it. You don't have to be gentle. A good rip is great. Like, just pull on it. Just go, no, that didn't work. Make it a little cut. And then, oh, of course it's not going to do it now, is it? Because I said that. Alright, nope, still not going to. And that happens sometimes, and then you have to sort of skip past that to another section. There we go. Now it should come off. Of course I say that, no, it's not going to. And I think I just cut through a bead. That's because I'm trying to do this in reverse, you know, like not looking at it. Anyway, so you can see how it's coming off there. Very few are really fast. It's a lot of work, and so it's really tough because I keep thinking I'm going to quit doing this because, yeah, I sell out most of my appliques, not all, but most. But the time spent on them, yeah, it's a lot. I mean, for a good dress with a good amount of I haven't finished it yet, but you see what I'm doing, right? For a dress with a good amount of beading and items to remove, I'm trying to think, 40 hours maybe? Like seriously. easily. I know I've had gowns I've spent longer than that. I would say average is probably 20 to 30 hours for me. And that's after I've been doing this for a long time. I can't really give any advice on pricing. It's very personal. It helps to say to yourself, well, what did I pay for the dress? Do I want to get back just what I paid for it? Or do I want to make extra above that? Look around at other people's appliques and what they are selling theirs for. Woo! Wrong way. I have tended to price mine, I think, too low. I have raised my prices a bit over the past year because you know how you do it. It's good sales is you have your prices really low and pull people in, and then you start to raise them a little. And I still think my prices are excellent. For the amount of work I do, I know that they're excellent. So, you know, you have to look at that and go, what do I think people will pay? If somebody can get the same thing for $5 and you try to sell it for $8, obviously, you know, why would they do that? On the other hand, people will pay more for you if they know you and if they trust you and if they've shopped with you before and they know that your quality of work is high. Other tips, I would say, always with the used wedding dresses, be really careful looking as far as looking for staining. And that's particularly true of hems. Oh, excuse me. Obviously, right, because they've usually been dragged on the ground. Or, you know, when the person was walking, they were on the ground. Wait, you know what I mean. That sounds stupid. And stains on the satin are not a problem. Don't worry about it. Beware of odors. If you have cigarette smell, particularly smoke smell, in your gown, I would not touch it. I have seen the most beautiful, beautiful dresses, and they had cigarette odor. Not going to touch it. Do not touch gowns that have a musty odor. Basically any significantly odor, don't touch it. You will never get the smell out, and the odor will actually permeate other things like in your room. Don't do it. I learned that from having smelly lace, actually, not from having a smelly gown. You can wash wedding dresses. This is something that I had no idea about. Found it out from some people that sell used wedding dresses, and you can wash them. I mean, it's crazy, right? Who would think? Beading and the sequins are more resilient than you would think. You have to wash it in, like you use the hand cycle. You can wash it in your washing machine. Hand cycle, you know, a little bit of detergent. Make sure it's not really harsh detergent. Obviously no bleach or anything like that. You don't spin it. If you have that option, hang it to dry. And I have done this, and it's amazing. I could not believe. And we're talking about stain that have been set in for 30 years. And I got it out. I was absolutely flabbergasted. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should go over as far as the wedding dresses. I can't really... Oh, one other thing, going back to the pieces. I didn't talk about the neck. Because a lot of times there's a really pretty piece like around the neck or that comes down here. Those are not too bad to remove. They are beautiful. They are exceptionally beautiful. In fact, I got one here. I'm going to show you. This is stunning. Oh, absolutely amazing. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can see where it went around the gown and did up in the back with these beautiful buttons, right? Absolutely amazing. Oh, look. I have like a little paper butterfly on it. Sorry there. And a flat back pearl. A purpley, reddish flat back pearl. That's when you know you're a crafter, right? These are usually fairly easy to remove. Hubby just walked in. Hi, hon, I'm I'm videotaping. I'll be done in a minute. You don't try to remove this part. Oh, excuse me. It's like the, I don't know what you call that. What is it? It's like a chiffon. Sometimes it's satin. Don't try to remove that. That will never work. But yeah, you can get some absolutely amazing pieces, and this is often where your beading is the heaviest. And items that have beading like this, that's the money right there. Beads, money. By the way, since I've got it out, if anyone is interested in this, just shoot me a message. It's really a shame because it would be perfect except for that right there. It has a hole in the lace. That's why I didn't sell it, actually, and why it's been sitting around in my craft room for years. And look at all the buttons. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so I think I've covered everything. Oh, just as a general rule too, especially when you're looking at the skirt, if you have big areas of tulle, like a lot of the old gowns, they have like a big triangle on the back of the skirt, and a lot of times it's tulle. Hang on. Sorry, my throat's starting to get funky after talking so long. You'd think I'd have had enough practice that wouldn't bother me. Okay, so you have this big triangle and it's tulle, and on the tulle are all these appliques. That is the best. Those are always easy to remove, and even if you have to cut it rather than cutting off, cut around it rather than cutting it off, it's just tulle, so it's fine. Satin, ones that are actually on the satin are like usually fairly easy. I'm trying to find an example of one here. They're usually fairly easy, but they may or may not come off without a problem, without losing beading. Oh, excuse me, sorry. And then you have the ones that are, it's like tulle in the middle of it, and there's satin around it, and the applique is like on both fabrics, and those actually often are the hardest ones to remove. Okay, I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. Irene, I will leave your information down below along with links to your video. Yeah, feel free to ask me anything, and if I do get more questions, I'll just make a part 2. And this is the longest video I have ever put on YouTube. I'm now at almost 38 minutes. Hopefully it was worth it and you got some good information. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.